Yo, so what's going on, guys? My name is Pone, and I want to talk to you guys about gun control. Not the standard one. I made a commentary about that a couple weeks back, but I'm here to talk actually more along the lines of people. Anti-gun, pro-gun, all these different people that are actually talking about this. So I'm here to talk about the people themselves. So if you'd like to, feel free to create a video response stating your opinion. Share this video with your friends or family. If you know somebody that's anti-gun and you want them to watch this, or pro-gun and you want them to watch this, feel free to share this with them. But my whole purpose is this is something I felt like addressing because a lot of people are talking about their thoughts on gun laws themselves, and I've spoken on that, but I want to talk about the people controlling the fate of this. A lot of people that are in control of whether or not guns can be limited, banned, prohibited are people that probably have never experienced shooting a weapon in their lives, have probably never ever experienced that whatsoever. For the same people that are in the government and the politicians and all the people that are trying to censor and limit the internet, they don't know a damn thing about it. And you're putting the wrong people in control. That's one thing that really does bother me. So when people ask me, am I pro-gun? No. I'm not one of those guys that says everybody should own a gun. Am I anti-gun? No. I'm not somebody that would try to limit somebody to not being allowed to actually have that freedom. I'm anti-gun. I think nobody should ever be able to tell somebody they cannot own a gun. That's something that's part of our country. That's something that's been around for a while. And to be honest, guns don't hurt people. People hurt people. And I know it's the cheesiest, stupidest, lame thing ever. The gun is just a vessel to, for them to spread their anger and hate and injure and hurt other people. Guns are dangerous when they're in the wrong hands. You put a gun, an empty, unloaded gun, in a room full of kids, nothing happens to them, right? It doesn't. Guns themselves are not naturally dangerous, not unless they are put in the wrong hands. People are dangerous, and you can't change people. But a lot of people want answers. A lot of people demand answers. A lot of pissed off moms, who lose family and stuff like that. The government, everybody want to do something about it, and they feel that banning weapons is the solution. And I have a couple arguments against that case. For one, let's talk about guns. And I researched this a little bit to know exactly what is going on and to see how steep and the major differences. So I'm going to compare guns and deaths via guns versus tobacco, smoking. So guns themselves here in the United States kill about 12,000 people a year, 12,000 homicides a year. That's 12,000 lives that are killed. Most of them are random acts of violence between gangs, so on and so forth. But there are the random odd occasions where somebody just snaps and loses it and goes and kills people. That is not unheard of, and actually that is something that you see every year, every other year. You see a major kind of moment where somebody does lose their cool, and that's premeditated. That's the problem with the person. That's not the gun's fault. That's the person, because he goes in there with like 4 or 5 guns. He knows what he's doing. And at that point, if you understand, if that person was really beyond help, if he was really set mind, premeditated to kill those people, if he wanted to, he could find a way to poison them. He could drive a car through a mall. If somebody was really wanting to end somebody's life, he can find a way to. And that's just something I want to state. People try to take it out and put the blame on the guns when the blame is actually meant to be put on the person using that weapon. Because up until then, that gun is harmless. Until it is fired and the trigger is pulled, a gun is harmless. It's the person that is responsible for what happens with that. So I don't feel it's fair to blame a gun on that situation. Now, another situation is, people are making a big deal. Now, this is my biggest problem with this whole anti-gun and everything, is I think we're wasting our resources on something that is minuscule, something that is petty. Gun control is not that big a deal right now, in my honest opinion. I know there's been a couple of incidents lately, and it's going to keep growing because, it's attention and people think that's a possibility. But think about this for a minute. Guns kill, homicides, 10,000 a year, 20,000 for suicides. 60%, or 2/3 of the deaths via firearms are suicides, taking one's own life, which is horrible. It's tragic. But to just be straight honest with you guys, that's 30,000 lives in the United States that are ended by a gun each year. Tobacco kills 5 million people a year. 5 million people a year. 450,000 in the United States alone. So 10,000 homicides with the 20,000 suicides, 30,000. But 450,000 are killed by tobacco. Where are the people trying to step up and ban tobacco? Why is nobody saying we need to stop this? Why is everybody wasting resources on trying to limit weapons, but nobody's doing anything about smoking or alcohol or anything like that? What shocked me when I was looking up details on this was 50,000 of those 450,000 are killed by secondhand smoking alone. That's meaning that they don't smoke themselves, but other people that they're surrounded by, loved ones, friends, family, they all smoke. Even though they don't smoke directly, they get killed. 50,000 people a year in the United States alone are killed by secondhand smoking. My mom and grandma smoked their whole life. I've got a shit ton of secondhand smoke in my system. And people don't understand that. A lot of smokers. I bet if a lot of people, a lot of kids knew that they're responsible, that the vast majority of people are responsible to contributing to 50,000 people dying a year, then people would think a little bit differently of smoking. So, for one out of every, one out of every 9 people that actually die from smoking didn't even smoke. And that's kind of messed up. So it's accidental, but who's to blame? Where do we put our foot down? Where do we say, hey, these people, they're killing, the people are dying, innocent people are dying, and they didn't even participate in that. A lot of people say smoking is elective. They choose to kill themselves, so be it. I agree. But it also hurts other people too. And I think something like that should not be available to the public. When we lose 500,000 people in our country alone every year due to smoking, why is that here? Why is that here? It's not like, certain things that could be, countered, but it's preventable. It is entirely preventable. It's the number one reason of preventable deaths in the world is smoking. So that's where I stand. Why are we focusing on things that are minuscule? Why are we focusing on something that is a problem with people but not actually the item itself? That's where I stand with that. Even more so, those people that are trying to ban guns. I'm going to give you guys an example. A short example real quick. What happens? What do you honestly think? Think for a minute. What do you honestly think will happen if you ban guns? What if, say right now, a law is passed and no handguns can be made. They pull them out. There's no more guns to be made. What happens? You think there are going to be no more guns here in our country? Do you honestly think that? I don't. I know how people are. I know how people manage to make and bring in guns. I know how people manage to bring in drugs. We've never been able to stop that. What makes you think? Well, what makes you think that the demand is not going to skyrocket? So now the average law-abiding citizen is not going to be able to defend himself or his family, but criminals are going to be able to create and distribute and supply their own weapons. Because once that is banned, then the only people that are going to have any access to those weapons are going to be people that are getting them under illegal means. Because the guns will never be gone. That's something you're going to have to understand. Criminals are going to want weapons, and if you try to ban and limit something, only criminals are going to be having those weapons. If they have those weapons, they plan on using them in an intentional purpose. So, to be honest, the demand for that's going to go up. For the same reason when things are illegal here, the demand and money and the price for those are crazy. So somebody's going to jump on the wagon. They're going to realize those aren't legal here anymore. They know that if they start making those illegally, they can start making 10 or 20 times the price that those were originally, bought for. So crime will still be there. People will be doing that. Rapists and criminals are going to be able to have access to those weapons that the public will no longer have access to. The people that actually listen to the law. So for as much as people like to say guns are not, something that are useful, they say, they should be banned and limited and prohibited. You just can't have them. Got to think of the harm that can come from that. You got to think about all your hatred and all your focus on trying to relieve these. Is this where you need to designate your purpose? Do you need to ban guns? That's like banning vehicles because they're responsible for so many deaths a year. May not be intentional, but hell, 50,000 people in the States alone die from unintentional tobacco inhalation. Boom. Are you gonna ban alcohol? Alcohol is responsible for a lot of, and with the combo of vehicles, that's a lot of deaths a year. You know what I mean? Why try to limit something that seriously, it's just something that should be left alone? I mean, the deaths are going to be there. But I think with safety, knowing you can protect your family, knowing that cops can use them, knowing all this stuff, I think all kinds of weapons should be allowed. Fully auto, there's no need to ever own that. You can't hunt. There should be no purpose for that. I can understand why people would maybe want to get rid of semi-automatic assault rifles. Nobody really needs a need for those. So I'm not saying I'm pro-gun or against gun or anything like that, but I can understand limiting that. Everybody has their own outlook on this kind of stuff, but I don't think anybody should say they can't have that. So as much as I say I can understand why that shouldn't be there, I don't think anyone has the right to say they can't have them. And that's just my opinion, and that's just where I feel about it. But to be honest, that's just what I wanted to put out there. If you guys agree with this, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. Like I said, share this with friends if you share similar ideas. But for now, that's what I wanted to talk about it. The video I put up yesterday, really, I saw a lot of people over in foreign countries just did not understand gun laws here and how we think. But that's where I stand, and maybe you guys agree. If you don't, like I said, feel free to create your own video response and give your own honest opinion on it too. So again, thank you guys for watching. Peace out. Get it.